Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Hey Wargamers, by now you probably saw the preview video Games Workshop put out about things coming down the pipeline for 40K in 2024. And in that video is a few silhouetted models that are pretty darn good looking. The most good looking, of course, though, is the new Kroot model. And this thing is absolutely a banger. It has me so excited for the new Tau Codex, which will come out in spring of 2024 according to their timeline. So let's break it down. Let's take a look at it. I think there's a lot of folks out there that are maybe taking this in the wrong direction, and I think this model is going to be a little bit different than what you might think it is. So looking at the model, of course it is a Kroot, right? There's absolutely no question about that. We have the quintessential Kroot quills, we have the Kroot jaw, we have the Kroot four-fingered hand, all of that very clearly Kroot in big capital K letters, right? So we know that this is a Kroot model. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But the thing that is more interesting about this, of course, is his war gear and his mount, right? If we look at the mount, it is not a Kroot offshoot, right? There's a lot of things about this that do not fit with the current Kroot aesthetics, right? For one thing, we have the reptilian spine. There's no quills that we can see on this, right? We have kind of a ridged, segmented body, very reptilian, almost crocodilian in features. Something that actually reminds me very strongly of like salamanders from Lizardmen or the Seraphim armies of Age of Sigmar, right? This seems like it fits very well with that kind of creature, right? We also see that it has a really large toothed jaw. We can't see the teeth or anything like that, but if we look at kind of the shape of the snout here, right, it has a little bit of an incline or a decline at the end, and then it has a jaw that pretty much goes straight down, right? And so that is very much fitting with something that has a really strong big jaw, probably has lots of teeth. I guess I would crack up if it didn't have any teeth, right? If it's like Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon, something like that, right? And I think there might be a little bit of an eye bulge on top there, right? So we can maybe think that it will have its eyes up on top of its head like that. And so that looks to me to be very, reptilian, not like the more avian Kroot. We also see a few other things here. We can see that the Kroot rider has some sort of spotting scope, some sort of like telescope or binoculars that he's looking at. It could also be some sort of grenade or something like that too, but it looks like he's holding it like a spotting scope. And then there's a little bit of war gear that we can see on the side, right? So this little thing popping up here almost looks like it would be a pistol or something that's mounted to the side of the mount, the steed. And so that all suggests a few things about this model being a particular type of cavalry. Also, as the video progresses, as this model kind of rotates, we get a few other hints about what's going on here. With regard to the mount, we see that it probably has like some sort of whiskers or like little frills on it. Again, kind of fitting with the amphibian or reptilian theme, which is very, very cool. It also seems to have tethers on the side or maybe cables or something like that. So there's some war gear, there's some packs or something that's kind of fastened to the side of this critter that he's riding on. And that really, to me, is, just a wonderful touch. This thing reminds me a lot of the model that we designed with Heresy Lab for their, kind of Kroot-like creatures that were riding dinosaurs. And so this has a lot of features of that. It has a lot of features of the old knarloc riders too, right? In terms of the conceptualization of being a mounted Kroot. So we see the packs, we see the war gear, something is stuck to the side here. It would be cool if it was like a giant energy weapon or something, but I doubt that. That would seem maybe a little, a little uneven, if you had like a giant weapon tethered to the side, just one side, we clearly don't see that on the other side here. So I don't think it's a weapon. I think it's some sort of war gear or packs or just some sort of aesthetic thing. And then if we look at the rifle that this Kroot is carrying, it's not a Kroot rifle, right? We don't see the blade on the bottom end of the weapon. We just see kind of more traditional stock imagery. So it looks very much like it's some sort of sophisticated, probably high-powered rifle, but it's not a Kroot rifle. It could be a Kroot gun, but it very much looks more to me like some sort of sniper weapon or some sort of heavy weapon like that. Right, and so we know this is some sort of new Kroot Cavalry, but I think where people are going a little astray is hoping that this is some sort of new knarloc rider or some other Kroot offshoot. The mount is not Kroot in relation, right? It lacks that basic Kroot anatomy. It doesn't have quills, doesn't have a beak, right? It has much more reptilian, mammal, amphibian type features, not avian things like Kroot have. And so like the Pek Ra, which is the bird in the Farstalker Kinband kill team, this is other wildlife from Pek, probably. Probably from Pek, not necessarily, but probably from Pek, right? And so it's not related to Kroot, like the Kroot ox or the Kroot hound, or even the Kroot bird, which was a like a long lost model. But this is some other wildlife that is from their home world that they've co-opted as a steed. And so it's not some sort of knarloc, which is also a Kroot offshoot, right? The whole idea of Kroot is that, they're extremely genetically malleable and they can, quickly adapt new traits. And so things like the knarloc or the Kroot hounds or the Kroot ox are kind of evolutionary dead ends where they've lost a lot of their sentience, whereas the Kroot carnivores, they are the more sentient, intentional beings that have maintained that agency throughout their evolutionary line, and that's why shapers are called shapers, is they shape the evolutionary trajectory of their kindred. And so this is not anything like that. This is something different. It's probably not some new Kroot ox then either, right? Like, even though he has a big gun, this could functionally be similar to a Kroot ox, but it would not be called a Kroot ox, right? It could be a total redesign like the Pyrivore we had with the Tyranids. The new Pyrivore looks nothing like the old one. That could be true here too, but you'd have to change the name, right? This is clearly not something that looks very ox-like. And so the name just doesn't fit. Arguably, the name didn't fit particularly well for the original model either. It's much more gorilla-like than ox-like, but nonetheless, the name ox suggests something a little bit more bulky. This seems a little bit more slender, like almost like a hyperhound, like that sort of thing. So I don't think that this is a Kroot ox replacement. What I do think this is more likely a sniper character. I think that this is not necessarily a whole unit. I don't think that we're going to get, like a unit of 3 of these or something like that. That'd be nice if we did, but I have a feeling that this is going to be a sniper character, like a new type of Kroot character. The weapon and the scope fit with the sniper role. We've seen Kroot as snipers in the past, and it would be great to have that functionality return, either as a unit of 3, like a scouting unit, or as a lone operative character. If it is a unit, it also could be a little bit more melee focused. We talked about how the anatomy of this steed seems to be a little bit more ferocious, and so maybe we have some, kind of melee focus of the steed, and so you have some sort of secondary role with this steed, like being, super chompy. Maybe it has like a poison bite or something like that. That'd be cool. Doing mortal wounds or something. And so, obviously I have no idea what it actually is, but it seems like the design of the figure kind of points towards this being some sort of, scout unit or a lone operative character. And if they release it as a character, that would be consistent with character releases that they've done recently and also in the video, right? Like, a lot of the silhouettes that we saw were not, multi-model units. They were characters, and so it would not be surprising that this was also a character, and one that we just have a single version of in our army to lead lead maybe a Kroot-based detachment. That totally makes sense. So that's what I think it is. I think people hoping that these are knarloc riders, basically verbatim, are probably going to be disappointed. But I think there's a lot of imagery, a lot of conceptualization that they probably have taken from knarloc riders and repurposed it for this sniper character. It'd be really cool if we had, like another, set of units that were kind of like this so that he could join and lead them, but again, we haven't seen that particularly consistently in the very recent past. If we look at Sisters, right, we had Morven Vol and the Peregrine Warsuits. That was something that made a lot of sense, but they've kind of moved away from that, right? Like, look at the Winged Tyranid Prime for Tyranids. That's something that you're like, oh, we got this thing, we're definitely going to get Shrikes, we're going to get Winged Warriors, and no, we didn't, and we haven't. And so I think probably this fella here is in that same boat, that he will be a character that will do some awesome things, but not necessarily be the return of the knarloc riders that we have all desperately wanted. The model looks awesome from what we can tell. I'm super stoked for it, and it has me really excited for the new Tau Codex in the spring. So keep your eyes peeled. I'm sure we'll see more about this. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Am I on the right track here, or have I totally missed the point? Let me know. Let's have a conversation about it. And as always, thanks for watching and happy wargaming. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you stuck around to this point in the video, maybe you want to join our Discord community as well. There's a link in the description below. Special thanks to all my supporters over on Patreon, but especially the folks that you see on your screen now. If you want to help make more invasive wargaming videos, consider joining our community over there as well.